One that says, me watching her scream after I poured boiling water on her after she told a boy happy birthday because why you happy, he made it another year. Just weird stuff that's super weird to repost, especially under this content.
When investigators popped open that Tesla trunk on September 8th, 2025 and found 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, things got real dark, real fast. At first, they thought it was just another twisted crime, but once they tapped into D4vd's TikTok, game over. What they found was straight up wild. We're talking about David Anthony Burke, known online as D4v, a 20-year-old artist blowing up from viral hits like Romantic Homicide and Here With Me. But while folks were vibing to his music, dude was out here dropping digital breadcrumbs that hit way different in hindsight. His TikTok wasn't just music vibes. It was like a low-key confession, and nobody caught on till it was way too late. This wasn't your average rapper got into trouble situation. Nah, this was some next-level creepy behavior that had the internet straight up stunned. When detectives started digging into his socials, they found what looked like a trail. Dark reposts, disturbing captions, and clues hiding in plain sight. One post that raised major alarms, a video of raw chicken being chopped up with the caption, "Me if I see her talk with other dudes." Alone, it sounds like jealous drama, but paired with what really happened, that's not just toxic, it's disturbing. But it didn't stop there. This man even reposted the American Psycho nail gun scene with a caption that read,
"All right, so chat, there's a rapper named David that I didn't know that much about, but apparently I actually talked to the guy before."
Me after hearing about her past with other boys. Like, who thinks that's funny? The whole vibe of his page gave off something way off, like he was testing how much he could reveal without anyone catching on. I'm jealous and utterly disgusted by her actions. That's what this dude was really out here saying. Using movie clips and memes to show off his twisted mindset, and folks just kept scrolling like it was regular internet noise. That same vibe of jealousy and anger, it matched exactly what detectives found out about his connection with that young girl, Celeste. What really got me heated, he had multiple posts talking about hurting people he was close to, breaking them apart, struggling with his head, and even faking funerals. Like, bro was building a whole lesson plan on how to lose it online, and people just hit like and moved on like it was some deep poetry. Even online forums called it out. They said his content straight up glamorized savage fantasies, and they weren't lying. It was like dude was feeding off the idea before ever acting on anything. And the most messed up part, his TikTok profile picture, a blindfolded Hello Kitty, dripping in red. Now some might say, oh, it's just an edgy profile pic, but nah. Pause on that. Celeste, she was known for being into Hello Kitty heavy. Last seen with Hello Kitty sandals and a matching keychain. That wasn't no random choice. That was personal. That was targeted. That was his way of throwing her memory up like some twisted trophy. And it gets even weirder.
It was the body of a young girl named Celeste who would have just turned 15 years old.
Okay, so another thing that's kind of confusing me about this whole thing, I got some Casamigos. Nothing that's confusing me about this whole thing. She was last seen on April 5th.
Back in February 2024, he posted a video captioned, "When your card declines at therapy and they bring in that one Hello Kitty girl you met in 2021. People thought it was just a joke, but detectives now believe he was hinting at when they first connected online. Instead of stepping up or helping to find her, this dude had the nerve to post like he was grieving, knowing exactly where she was the whole time. That's next level disturbing. Ain't no excuse for that kind of twisted behavior. What's wild is how he built a whole music career off the same emotions that were hiding something darker. His hit Romantic Homicide pulled in billions of streams. Folks thought it was just about heartbreak. But now, investigators think it might have been way more than that. A coded message hiding in plain sight. Like, this man was literally making money off a song that might have been his way of confessing. And get this, all them TikTok posts, they weren't made after she was found. They were already out there before anyone even knew what happened. That means this wasn't no random outburst. This had been brewing. He wasn't acting out of impulse. Nah, this was planned, thought out, and posted up like some online diary.
Brother told NBC News that he was aware that his sister knew the singer David. Matthew Rivas said when she went missing, she was on her way to see a movie with him, but never returned. 18-year-old Celeste Rivas as the person who was found dead at a Hollywood tow yard in early September in the trunk of singer David's Tesla. The medical examiner is still trying to determine the cause of her death.
And what freaks people out even more, the vibe he was giving off. It wasn't just about what he did, it was about how he enjoyed playing the long game, leaving clues, dropping hints, and watching nobody catch on. Folks online started comparing his content to real-life cases that shocked the world, and honestly, it's not even a stretch. The way he blended that soft indie image with such dark undertones, it was like he had two lives, one for the fans and one buried in secrets. This wasn't just some edgy kid chasing clout. This was a full-blown timeline of someone spiraling while the world watched and hit follow. Every move he made online was calculated, not random. As his follower count grew, so did the warning signs, clear as day for anyone who looked close enough. This case shook law enforcement to the core. D4vd's TikTok feed wasn't just background noise, it became a blueprint. It laid out what he was thinking, how he planned, and where his head was at throughout the whole situation with Celeste. Each repost, a breadcrumb, each caption, a cry for attention disguised as a secret. And when you put the pieces together, it painted a whole story that was hiding behind the music and moody aesthetics. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was only 14 when this tragedy came to light, but her connection with this man started years earlier. What investigators found across platforms showed signs of manipulation and grooming that might have begun as far back as 2021, when she was just a kid and he was already a grown man online building his image. That timeline is dark. It showed how he slowly worked his way into her world while portraying himself as a sensitive artist to the public. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, he was preying on someone who clearly looked up to him. Celeste's family described her as a sweet, bright soul, someone who loved Hello Kitty, had big dreams, and always lit up the room. Petite, with wavy black hair, and remembered down to the yellow bracelet she wore. But no outfit detail can capture the pain of what she went through.
All of this, a song leaked that I can't confirm if it's real, but it's called Celeste. Apparently, David wrote it in 2023, and the lyrics are kind of great.
Celeste went missing in April 2024, just 13 years old. Her family reported it to the Riverside County Sheriff's Office, but it wasn't taken like the emergency it should have been. Why? Because she had run away a few times before. But now we know those past runaways were likely tied to her connection with David, aka D4vd. And that pattern, it made the system overlook the real danger she was in. That's the heartbreaking part. There were signs. Her mom said Celeste had been talking to someone named David. A former teacher confirmed she met him through social media. The family knew something was off. They just didn't know how deep it went. And by the time they realized it, it was already too late. This case shows how hard it is to protect kids in a world where anyone can reach them through a screen. Even when families are watching, things slip through the cracks. Then came the physical evidence, and it was chilling. Celeste and David had matching tattoos on their right index fingers, both marked with SH. Hers was done in red ink. That wasn't no coincidence. That was a symbol, a sign that this man had marked her like she belonged to him. Her family confirmed that detail, and the medical examiner backed it up. Police hadn't even made it public yet, but the digital trail hit even harder. Investigators found screenshots from his Discord server going all the way back to 2022. Celeste was just a kid, and the messages between them, they weren't casual. They showed how he built trust with her over time, slow, calculated, and dangerous.
Why the hell would you go in Elon's on-road spaceship that records everything and go do a crime and then leave the body in the trunk? They probably got you chopping her up and probably got all type of...
Investigators uncovered an unreleased track titled Celeste_Demo_Union, made in December 2023. The lyrics, personal and obsessive, dropping lines about tattoos and deep control. This wasn't just music. It was a glimpse into David's head months before everything went down. The track didn't feel like art. It felt like a warning. And when they eventually found Celeste, everything clicked. On September 8th, 2025, workers at a Hollywood tow lot reported a foul smell coming from an abandoned Tesla. LAPD pulled up, and inside the front trunk, they found what was left of her. The car? Registered to David, but at the time, he wasn't even in LA. He was out touring, acting like nothing was wrong. The condition of the scene told its own dark story. The remains weren't whole, and the details matched up with some of the same twisted stuff he'd been posting online for years. From the state of things, it was clear the situation had been like that for a while. Investigators believe what happened to Celeste likely went down just as David hit the road for tour, letting him hide in plain sight while keeping up his polished image. But here's the part that really got investigators locked in. The location. That Tesla left in the Hollywood Hills just a block and a half from where David had been staying. That wasn't no coincidence. That was strategy. He kept it close, just far enough to play innocent, but near enough to keep an eye on things. The car sat there for days before getting towed. All the while, David was still posting, still performing, still living like nothing happened. People online have been throwing out possible motives: jealousy, pregnancy rumors, fear of losing his career if the truth came out. But based on what was found on social media, this ran way deeper. Investigators believe David wasn't just scared. He might have been feeding off the control and emotional chaos he caused. The whole thing looks less like fear and more like obsession. Photos and a live stream from October 2023 show David with a girl who looked a lot like Celeste at a public LA event. Proof their connection wasn't just some online thing, it was out in the open. And when you line that up with those private Discord messages, you get a scary picture of someone showing off a relationship that should have never happened while also posting disturbing content online like it was nothing. One of the biggest red flags came from a Reddit comment made 8 days before the case even went public.
Like, if the mom of the victim knew that she was dating someone named David, did she not know his age? And I'm not blaming her specifically, but it seems like the people around her knew a bit about it, like the guy from the Reddit post who apparently knew that she ran off with.
It mentioned a missing girl from Lake Elsinore and tied her name to David, meaning people close to him likely knew something before the police did. And yet, no one stepped forward. Now take that and mix it with his tour schedule. Dude was still out here on stage, acting normal, doing shows, while her body was left sitting in his car. That level of detachment, it's hard to even process. Celeste's family has been left broken. Her mom confirmed tattoo details that police never released publicly, which shows just how much she knew her daughter. They've had to start a GoFundMe just to cover funeral costs, grieving while also dealing with this public nightmare. And what makes it all worse? The warnings were there. Her brother reportedly told authorities about David way before anything happened, but nothing was done. Lack of evidence, they said, but that delay cost everything. The digital trail proves this wasn't some heat-of-the-moment thing. This was planned, slow, and dangerous, carried out by someone who had been posting twisted thoughts for years, using his growing fame to connect with and manipulate young fans who looked up to him. And social media, it ended up being the key. Connecting David's TikTok activity to Celeste's case didn't happen overnight. Investigators had to flip the script on digital forensics, treating social media not as side info, but as evidence of mindset, planning, and a dark shift in behavior. Then came the big move. On September 18th, 2025, LAPD hit a spot in the Hollywood Hills with a search warrant. That's where David had been staying. They searched drains for blood traces, took items for testing, and turned the place upside down. But the digital stuff, that's what really changed everything. What they found on his accounts was wild. His reposts, captions, and videos weren't just dark jokes. They lined up perfectly with what happened to Celeste. It wasn't random. It was a step-by-step reflection of what he was planning all along. And the Tesla, big mistake. That car became one of the strongest pieces of evidence. These cars don't just drive, they record, Jeep camera footage, data logs. The whole thing's a moving surveillance system. That's how they confirmed locations, timelines, and possible movement patterns tied to the case. One of the most chilling moments came from a TikTok he reposted, a guy chopping raw chicken with the caption, "Me if I see her talk with other dudes." At the time, people brushed it off as edgy humor. But once they uncovered what happened to Celeste, that post hit differently. That repost from American Psycho with a caption about jealousy and disgust was more than just edgy content. It gave a glimpse into how David really viewed Celeste. He wasn't seeing her as someone to protect.
And apparently, like, all the people that knew, especially some of the other little kids, looked like this was like a little kid server he was in. He would pay these kids to not say anything. He would give them money.
Nah, he acted like she had wronged him. That mindset, classic behavior from people who twist reality to justify crossing serious lines. And then there's the Hello Kitty theme across his profile, the bloody blindfold, the creepy captions. Turns out that wasn't just some aesthetic. Investigators now believe those were symbols, personal trophies linked to his connection with Celeste. One video from February 7th, 2024, captioned, "That one Hello Kitty girl you met in 2021 inches." At the time, folks thought it was random. Now, it's looking like a public reference to when he first reached out to her online. Even more disturbing, he didn't act alone. Reports say David was paying other young people in his Discord server to stay quiet about his relationship with Celeste. That's not just manipulation. That's building a shield around himself. He set up a whole web to protect his image while continuing the same behavior behind the scenes. And now, the fallout is massive. His label, Interscope, slammed the brakes on promoting his deluxe album, Withered. Universal, Sony Publishing, and Wasserman all backed away. Sponsors like Crocs and Hollister dropped him completely. His US and world tours canceled. But one detail hit fans hard. His final Instagram post was made on September 7th, Celeste's birthday. The next day, her body was found. That timing felt way too intentional, like he was sending a hidden message while still acting like everything was normal. The public reaction has been nothing short of shock. Social media lit up. X, Reddit, TikTok, all flooded with threads, theories, and breakdowns. Fans are digging up receipts, piecing everything together. Many say they can't even hear his music the same anymore. What makes this case stand out for law enforcement is how it shows the way digital spaces have changed everything. Old school investigations leaned on physical evidence, eyewitnesses, and behavior patterns. But David's case, it flipped the script. Social media became the diary. Every post, every caption, intentional or not, ended up as part of a digital confession. He was documenting his mindset in real time, giving investigators a front row seat to his descent, and it exposed something deeper, just how hard it is to keep kids safe in online spaces, especially when the person on the other end has influence and clout. People knew, family, teachers, friends, there were signs, but the systems in place, they failed. Reports were either ignored or lost in red tape. This situation is already pushing law enforcement to rethink how they handle reports of adult interactions with minors, especially when the adult has a platform. As of now, the official cause of Celeste's passing is still pending further forensic work, but the evidence stacking up is heavy. Matching tattoos, messages, leaked photos, a private track named after her, and most of all, social media content that matched what later happened. The case may not be closed, but investigators believe it paints a strong picture. David hasn't been formally charged yet, but his reps say he's cooperating. The investigation's still open, and forensics are still coming in. No set timeline. But what's clear is this: his online activity changed how this case is being handled. It gave detectives an inside look into how calculated everything might have been. The sad twist: the same platforms that helped David blow up, build a fan base, and sell heartbreak became the place where he left breadcrumbs. Celeste's family is still fighting for justice. Her burial is scheduled for October 5th, 2025, and they've launched a GoFundMe to help with the costs. It's heartbreaking, not just losing someone so young, but having to ask the internet for help just to lay her to rest. Their pain is a brutal reminder of what happens when systems fail and red flags get ignored. This case is already shaking up how law enforcement looks at social media. It's no longer just background noise, it's evidence. Platforms are also being forced to rethink how they handle disturbing content, and people are finally starting to see that these posts, these captions, these creepy jokes might actually mean something serious. But for Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the change comes too late. Behind every viral track, every TikTok clip, every fan interaction, there are real people, real lives, and when we stop paying attention, tragedy steps in. Those TikTok posts from David, they weren't just edgy content, they were signals. Digital breadcrumbs showing how obsession can turn dangerous when nobody speaks up. Or worse, when people see it and still do nothing. So here's the truth. When someone's posting dark fantasies, weird control vibes, or unhealthy obsessions online, that's not just aesthetic. That might be someone showing us their mindset loud and clear. And if we don't start calling it out, we might be letting stuff like this happen again. Celeste's story should never be forgotten. It's not just a headline, it's a warning, it's a lesson, and it's a call to protect the ones who can't always protect themselves in this digital world. Thanks for watching. If you found this video important, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And hit one of the boxes on screen to see what's going down in our hood next. Stay safe, stay smart, and don't ignore the signs.